Hi friends, in this video we are going to discuss about the comparison between the AC transmission system and the DC transmission systems. So AC transmission system we can also call as HVAC, and DC transmission system we are calling as HVDC. High voltage alternating current, high voltage direct current. Now coming to the comparison, the first thing is, in terms of definition, what is the definition of AC transmission and what is the definition of DC transmission? Okay, so first we are going to discuss about the AC transmission system. Now, the transmission system which transmits alternating current is called as AC transmission. The transmission system which transmits alternating current is called as AC transmission. But coming to the DC transmission, the transmission system which transmits the direct current is called as DC transmission system. Okay, so the system which is transmitting alternating current is called as AC transmission system. The system which is transmits the direct current is called as the DC transmission system. So this is the definition. Now coming to the construction of AC and DC transmission system. Now in terms of construction, now coming to AC transmission system, the construction of AC transmission lines is more complicated. But in case of DC transmission system, the construction of DC transmission lines is less complicated. Compared to AC transmission system, DC transmission system is somewhat less complicated. Okay, so that is one of the important point. But why means, in case of AC transmission systems, we are using the 3 individual phase lines and we are also using the transmission towers. But in case of DC transmission system, only we are carrying 2 lines, that is 2 conductors to transmit the DC energy. Now coming to the third one, that is electric power. Now electric power, in case of AC transmission system, in this transmission system, electric power can easily generate at high voltages. So we know that the Indian standard generation of voltage is always 11 kV. Sometimes it is 22 kV, sometimes 22 kV, but mostly the generated voltage in India is always 11 kV. So that is the reason why the generation of high voltage in AC transmission system is very simple, or we can easily generate. But in case of DC transmission system, electric power can't easily generate at high voltage because of commutation problems. So we know that the commutation system is very important in case of DC. So that is the reason why, because of the commutation problems, it is not possible to generate high voltages with the help of DC system. And coming to the conductors. So in terms of conductor, if I am talking about the AC transmission system, for the high voltage AC, that is HVAC transmission system, for the high voltage AC transmission system, 3 conductors we are using, 3 conductors. So one is red, one is yellow, and the other one is blue. That is the reason why in case of 3-phase system, we are using RYB. These are the 3 conductors we are using in case of AC transmission system. But in case of DC transmission system, we are using only 2 conductors. Okay, only we are using 2 conductors. One is positive and another one is negative. And coming to the concept of insulation. In terms of insulation, AC transmission requires more insulation due to more conductors. So in case of AC transmission system, we are using 3 conductors. That is the reason why insulation required for the AC transmission system is always more. But in case of DC transmission, only we are using 2 conductors. It means compared to AC system, DC requires less insulation. And another thing is voltage regulation. In terms of voltage regulation, so in case of AC transmission system, the AC transmission can easily increase and decrease the voltage level by using step up and step down transformers. And in case of DC transmission system, the DC transmission can increase and decrease with the help of voltage level, with the help of what? Chopper and boosters. With the help of chopper circuits, with the help of booster circuits, we can easily increase and decrease the voltage levels in case of DC transmission. But in case of AC transmission, if you want to step up the voltage levels, step down the voltage levels, it is possible with the help of the transformers we are using. And another thing is the required factors. What are the required factors for the AC transmission and the DC transmission? Now coming to AC transmission system, for the AC transmission lines, capacitance, inductance and the phase displacement is very, very important, because we know that in any conducting material having a property of resistor is there, and between any two parallel conductor there is a presence of capacitance is there, and in any conductance, due to the alternating flux flowing through that conductor, there is a production of inductance is also is there. That is the reason why in AC transmission system, resistance, inductance and capacitance, including with these, phase displacement is also required. But in case of DC transmission system, so here the capacitance value, inductance value and the phase displacements are not going to present, because in case of DC system, frequency is equal to 0, but in case of AC system, frequency is not equal to 0. So that is the reason why, due to this frequency, capacitance and inductance are not going to present in case of DC system. But in case of AC system, frequency is equal to 50 Hertz. This is the reason why. So capacitance and inductance are going to present in case of AC system. And in terms of transformer, in case of AC system, so the transformer is used to regulate the voltage levels. If you want to increase or if you want to decrease the voltage levels, it is possible by using transformer in case of AC system. But in case of DC systems, we are not going to using the transformer, because transformer is a static device, that too AC device. And the next thing is capacitance effect. So due to this particular capacitance effect, what is the problem we are going to facing in case of AC system and DC system? Now see here, AC transmission system, due to the presence of capacitance in the AC transmission lines, the continuous power loss occurs. But in case of DC transmission system, there is no value of capacitance. That is the reason why less power loss occurs. And coming to the effect of inductance. So in case of AC transmission system, the presence of inductance already there. We already discussed about this point. So that is the reason why, if there is a presence of inductance, then we are going to face some voltage drop, and this voltage drop is more due to what? Presence of inductance. So it does not provide good voltage regulation. So it means what? Good voltage regulation means, for example, if you are applying 10 volts, if you are getting 10 volts at the output, then 100% voltage regulation is there. But due to the presence of inductance and capacitance in the AC transmission, definitely we are going to get some losses between the input and output. That is the reason why the voltage regulation is not good in case of AC transmission. And in case of DC transmission, the voltage drop is less due to the absence of inductance. So it provides the voltage regulation is good. And another thing is skin effect. So we know that whenever the current is flowing at the surface of the conductor, we are going to facing the effect of skin. So that is the reason why the skin effect of AC and DC distribution system is, so in case of AC distribution system, skin effect occurs in the AC transmission, but this skin effect is not occurring in case of what? DC transmission systems. Now coming to another thing, that is corona effect. So here in case of AC system, corona losses mostly exist in case of AC system, but in case of DC, corona rarely exists. It means the effect of corona in the AC transmission system is more compared to DC. And another thing is effect of transmission system. Now effects of transmission, that is AC transmission, the stability and the surge effects find in AC transmission system. But in case of DC transmission system, the effect of due to this transmission system, the stability and surges are free from these effects. Okay, this is the important point. Now another thing is required parts. So what are the parts required in case of AC and DC transmission. Now, in case of AC transmission system, we are not going to using the rectifier circuit and inverter circuit in case of AC transmission, because whatever the energy generating, that is alternating only. So that is the reason why it is not required. The help of rectifier is not the use of rectifier is not applicable in case of AC, because AC is directly transmitting through the transmission lines from generating station to the load centers. So if we want to convert from AC to DC, so we are using the concept of rectifier. If we want to convert from DC to AC, so we are going to using the concept of inverter. So that is the reason why in AC transmission system, the rectifier and inverter we are not going to use. But in case of DC transmission system, if we want to get AC from the DC, definitely we are going to use inverter concept, and if we want to convert from AC to DC, we are using the rectifier concept. And the another important thing is installation cost. So in case of AC transmission system, under construction and maintenance, the AC transmission system is cheap. But in case of DC transmission, the construction and the maintenance is always expensive. And another thing is distance over power transmission. With the help of AC transmission system, we can use this AC transmission system for short distance. But in case of DC transmission, we can use this transmission system for large distance. And coming to the maintenance purpose, maintenance, in terms of maintenance, if I am going to talking about the maintenance in AC transmission, the maintenance of this system is easy through the connected substations. But in case of DC transmission, the maintenance of this system is difficult as compared to AC, because we require more maintenance in case of DC, but very less in case of AC. And the last thing is repairing. For example, if something is happened in the AC transmission system, the repairing of AC transmission system is very simple compared to DC. But in case of DC system, the repairing is more complicated when compared to AC. So these are the most important differences between the AC transmission and DC transmission system. Thank you so much for watching, and please do subscribe my channel for more updates.